35, because then my next person comes at 6. Sweet. Hi. Welcome. I feel a little awkward with these because I feel like I always have to get super close, but I think we're good here. I'm really excited to interview you.
I'm excited to talk with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little backstory about us is that we met at the skate park.
Yes.
And you are a really good skater.
Used to be.
What does that mean?
I mean, this could almost tie into the whole story. There's a certain part of the skate park, and bless anybody who's still at the skate park and stuff, but especially at the Venice skate park, where I looked around and I was like, if you are like an amalgamation of the people you spend the most time with, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
No,
fair.
It's so much fun to do, but it also came with a lot of just a maximization of the good times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I have mixed feelings about the park and a lot of places, really, because on one hand, it's where I got to lose my mind. And at the height of just what I feel was just a breakdown, like a mental breakdown. My friend committed suicide in 2021. And I didn't have like a dramatic breakdown that people would notice, is what I'm understanding now. It was one of those that I was silently just kind of coming undone, and I was drinking more and acting out more. And at the park, you could do that.
Yeah.
and you're not alone.
You're amongst your people.
So,
it's
exactly.
like pain is pleasure there
Yes.
to some degree.
Well, and I needed that. So, on one hand, it's exactly what I needed, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
When I met you, though, it was in the day.
Yes, it was.
And you were trying to land a trick.
Yeah.
And you did land it.
I did.
So you were pretty awesome, and I was so inspired. And you wrote like a little cute note then, skate park is like where women can cheer you on, and then you like gave me a little kudos, and I was like, I like her.
Oh, thank you. And that's what I did like about the skate park. It's kind of like, it's not,
It has so many faces.
it does, and it's like not just your trick, like other people get very invested in wanting to do the best thing.
I really was.
Which is another thing. It's like if anybody's like thinking about skating, like go. It seriously is the most supportive community you could ever
100%
be a part of.
It has like any other community. I think it just has many faces. It depends when you go, what time you go. Okay, so this episode is called Crashout or Sleeper, and that's because we people view you and I, or people like you and I, as very different kinds of should I say addicts?
Sure.
In the sense that I could get away with I looked fine most of the time, and I'm very good at pretending that I am fine, granted, but I just never had those crash out stories overtly that I could, I don't have DUIs, and I didn't go around getting arrested. I should have probably, but I was very fortunate. So, and then on the other hand, then we have your version of what people are like, yeah, that one's a problem. I was like, I promise you I was a problem. But tell me a little bit about your story in terms of what kind of addict you were and how you made your way to recovery.
Sure. Well, it's still kind of interesting, even me being, I think the outwardly wild part of me is something that's just inherently within me. It's something that, oddly enough, people still expect from me to some degree, which I don't mind even really honoring now in my older, wiser years of just kind of I view a lot of people as being like asleep, and it's kind of fun to wake them up. Mm-hmm. And usually that's through like a little bit of chaos.
Absolutely.
To some way.
Just get them a little looser.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like to open up from their shell, whatever it might be, either through, again, just like a small moment, or it's like I find a lot of people, like I love dancing. A lot of people are like scared to dance, or they need like
you're a dancer, aren't you?
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
And that we had that in common too, burlesque dancers. But,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So just little things like that. But my story, Where do you even my drug
That's a tough question,
I know,
isn't
it's
it?
hard
I'm
to
sorry.
start.
I know. Tell me how you would describe your at your worst. Is that easier to maybe answer?
At my worst. Sure. So my drug of choice was crystal meth and also anything else that came along my path. But that was my if I was a hunter and gatherer, that's what I was going out every day seeking.
Yeah. Preferably that, but something else will do as well if it came along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was like
Same.
my through baseline, and then it was kind of like, what else can we mix?
Yeah.
I guess my lowest point, there's a lot of things on paper that should have been more of the lowest point, but it was, gosh, I was still in my teens, living in my car. I'd graduated high school early, so I was treated like an adult kind of early.
Right.
Yeah. So I got kicked out of my house. I was living in my car. My mom changed the locks. She put a sign on the door that says, if you try to get in, we'll call the sheriffs, and here's all your stuff. It's like, all right, living in my car. I was dating a guy who was my soulmate because we had so much in common, a.k.a. just all the same drugs in common. I remember when I
This is
I was
very
like,
romantic.
it was so, I was like, oh, we have so much in common. God.
You get me.
Yeah, you give me so much. But,
Relatable.
it was emotionally abusive, physically abusive on both of our parts. Like, I'm not
Sure.
going to just put that all on him.
No,
Like,
I
we
get it.
both
Yeah.
were super bad.
And I like that you're saying that because it's always portrayed just one way, and it's like, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I was no walk in the park either.
Right.
And it was waking up in the morning in my car, you're like stuffed with all the stuff in there. And I looked at him and I was just kind of like, I looked at him like very long and I was like, I fucking hate you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had this moment of like looking around the car, and then I caught a reflection of myself in like the rear view mirror, and I looked at myself and I was just kind of like, I fucking hate you too.
That moment of clarity is so brutal.
Huge moment of just realizing like how much I really hated myself. And again, if things are a reflection, like tying it back to the skate park, like who you are, who you surround yourself with,
Sure.
you are kind of them. And so I started to pay more attention to the people I was hanging around, and I realized we don't have anything in common other than drugs. If I actually needed one of you,
You wouldn't show up.
You wouldn't show up.
No.
I couldn't call you in the middle of the night, and it just kind of really started to change my perspective. And that those were the first steps of me starting to crawl out of that hole.
What do you call that moment? Because I mean, I've written a lot about my moments of clarity like that throughout the years that I was abusing myself. Is that like your spirit talking to you? What do you think that is, just for a second, when you're like, I'm not supposed to live like this? This doesn't make any sense. Why am I here?
I think when it comes to drugs, and this is also how I got sober, with drugs, with any sort of substance, I believe that there's something up with your reality that you feel like this thing enhances it, or it takes you away from reality in a good way. It numbs you from reality.
Makes it more palatable?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was, I think, just a slap of reality, looking at myself and like staring at myself and like just being snapped back into reality and having a moment of reality of like, wait, this is my reality right now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like out of a drug-induced haze and all the glitter and rainbows that come with all of that shit. It was just a moment of really, where am I right now?
Yeah.
Who am I right
so
now?
Relatable. I've had many of them, but I've also experienced them slipping away fairly quickly. So I think if someone's listening to that, I guess I'm trying to offer, how would you hold on to that? I don't know.
Well, it's not
don't
even a moment
know.
of holding on. In my opinion, I have lived many, many lives.
Girls say.
And the way I look at it is like with every new shedding of skin, you take the things that you still like, you put that in, and then you move forward. So it's like even with that, it was just a new shedding of skin. It's like, again, I still relate so much to that version of me. For the entertainer that she is, the wild one that she is, the little gremlin that she is. It's like I'm still that, but I'm not living in my fucking car
Right.
doing a bunch of drugs to feel good about myself.
Yeah. Yeah. See, my part, so like, I guess what makes me the sleeper is I didn't drink until I was 23. Even at my worst, I could afford to recover it for days in my home. And if I lost a job, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I got fired plenty of times in my life, very dramatically. But it's one of those things where my circumstances made it so that I could get away with harming myself. Like it did not have immediate consequences to my life, other than that I was rotting quietly within myself. But you also have to keep in mind I traveled a lot and I reinvented my circle a lot. So that's what I meant when I said I could relate to you having many lives. I really have had a ridiculous amount of lives. I've lived in so many countries, and I would even change my name, and so I was that like removed from myself. So my escapism runs deep.
So and then it's like, what obviously for you where you are now, like what did it take for you to like
snap out of it?
Snap out of it, but also like settle in your bones of who you are.
Yeah. Look, I have horrible stories of when I just 4-day benders and I'm crawling, you know, there's the disgusting stories, right? But I always kept going after that. So it's not those. It was that I could feel myself getting dumber. Do you know what I mean? And it was one of those things where like I developed a stutter. I still have it sometimes, but because I was thinking so much faster than I could speak, and that's always kind of been a thing. Like even when I was younger, and like I play piano by ear because I'm just so ready to get to it. You know, it's a part of my personality for sure. But it had just gotten to the point where I couldn't communicate, and I hated that. And I used to love to read books, and I struggled to get through a page, and I was like, what the fuck did I do? Like, what have I done? And I would look at myself, and I was always into fitness, and I was like 30 plus, you know, I was overweight, and I looked at myself, and I hated, I didn't like what I saw. And this is not to make anyone listening uncomfortable, to each their own for sure, but like for me, I couldn't stand the sight of myself. And it really was humiliating to kind of look at myself and just be like, what have I done?
And I think that's
right
like
now?
When it comes to a bottom, that's why I say it's like there's a lot of things on paper that could be a bottom. But I tell anybody who asks me, it's like I have a brother, sister, cousin, whatever, who's like experiencing this, and I have to tell them it's like you can't help somebody until they're ready to receive
that moment.
Help.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? That looks very different to many different people, because a lot of people too, like I have a lot of friends still where they are also the life of the party, and everybody only knows them as the life of the party and relies on them to be the life of the party, and they want to live up to that.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's like they're partying all the time because that's what they have now locked in their head as like, this is the only way people will like me.
Yeah, I've experienced exactly that. It's funny you mentioned that I was or would be considered someone that is the quote unquote the life of the party, and then when I tried to, and it's not me saying that, it's just my history informs me of that's it was expected of me still once I'd calmed down and once I'd like snapped out of the compulsive need to like entertain, which is kind of a defense mechanism. I think it's a response to my social anxiety to a degree. So it felt better to control the room by, okay, I'm here, let's do this. You know what I mean?
I have the exact opposite.
To performing?
I'm just like, I'll just I'm like, y'all are boring as fuck. But it's like, I also know when to share the room, It's like,
I
if
didn't
somebody
share.
else is doing that, I'm just kind of like, you go. But it's like, if no one is, it's just kind of like, oh my God, these are boring. You need to wake up.
oh my gosh, it is the opposite. Yeah, no, for me, I felt in control of the space when I had attention on me, which I didn't have to fight for very often. I think it was people are more often than not happy to surrender that pressure. I've found where like, oh yeah, please you entertain everybody kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but to go back to what you were saying, when I stopped putting that pressure on myself and I wasn't using anymore and I wasn't drinking anymore, and suddenly I was like, this is exhausting actually.
Yeah.
And I don't think I want to. And then when I would see people around me kind of go, you good?
Yeah.
Why aren't you hijacking the room? And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, that was an interesting response. Sometimes people can trap you in a role, in a part. And that's one of the many things I would caution people to be alert of when you're trying to reapproach. And figure out what your space is when you're not actually just, what do we call it? When you're not trying to alter reality with substances, whatever they may be.
Well, this kind of ties into also, it's like, and it depends. It's like, do you find like joy in the attention still?
Good question. You know what? Yes, I do. It's more of, but not when it's out of compulsion. I know the difference now, which is great. When it's not like a response to fear or a response to my nervous system just spazzing out because, oh my God, there's so many people here and what do they want? I can leave now if I want, or I can excuse myself. You know, I've created little things in that space between that. I'm like, how can I make myself more comfortable? But if it's like a performance, a piano performance or something like that, playing in itself, I enjoy. The moments before I don't. So that's okay for that. It's nerves. That's all. You know, you're nervous that you'll look silly. You're nervous that people think you are a terrible player, or you know, these are normal feelings. But I had a very abnormal reaction to them, which was just the hijacking of a room or drinking excessively before doing something. Like it was not manageable to me before. So, yes, I do enjoy once I get to that space where I'm like, okay, wait, this is cool. This is fun.
And, you know, and I think it's a gift. It is a huge gift to be a performer. It is not for everybody. A lot of people think it is, and they don't. And I think there is extreme power in being a performer and being able to control a room.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. I think the most powerful person in a room is the person with the microphone. And it's like, God, am I that pale? Sorry, I'm catching myself. It's okay.
Oh, we're keeping that. You look... you strong, sis.
I'm Irish.
Oh, Dublin, I had a blast. We can't... I might have a warrant in Dublin. Like,
sick.
Yeah, no, you look fantastic. Don't worry. Sorry, Ireland, for everything that I did.
Those are my people. You can apologize for me.
I love them. Love you.
We gotta get time going.
No, they're so festive. I've never partied that hard in my life. I've never seen anything like
there's
it.
problems there for sure. Oh.
Collectively, all of them together are just party animals. I'm like, how?
It's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a culturally acceptable thing.
And they're beautiful. And that's another interview.
But that's something that I had to do when I was getting off of hard drugs, is I had to make a list of what do I think that this does for me. So I had to be brutally honest with myself of like, what do I think, like, why do I use this?
What I need it, yeah.
What is this the crutch for in my life?
Yeah.
And then it was, like, is this true? It's like, no. And then it's kind of like, cool, what's the healthy alternative?
You did a pros and cons list, is that what we're saying?
I thought you said a prison cause list. I'm like,
did you do a prison cause list?
Didn't get that far in the system, but
no, a pros and cons. I did one.
Pros and cons list is kind of like, it's just like, you know, people take a shot to take the edge off. So it's like putting down, it's like whatever, alcohol. It's like it takes the edge off, and it's like,
edge off what?
Exactly. It's like edge off what? It's like,
like continue
anxiety,
the thought.
This and that. Yep. It's like, what is a healthy alternative to be able to do that? It's like, maybe do like a workout before.
I can't wait
to
show you. I did
like
the same thing. Literally the same thing. Okay, great. So that's what I want to tell people to do as well. Like, figure out, follow the thought through to take the edge off what?
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's like, and then that completely kind of rewired my brain. Like with me, with crystal meth in particular, I was a big girl, and it made me lose a lot of weight really quick, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. And then on top of that, for me at the time, I was really into like painting and graffiti, and I think that might have been my only mediums at the time. But you know, I could paint for days or whatever. And so it was like, you know, it's like,
get
what do I
lost
think?
in the world.
Yeah, it's like, so, but I was like, I had told my brain that I could only do it on that. And then it was like that reality check of like, bitch, you've been painting since like, you know.
And it became a habitual thing. I love that you said that, because you are rewiring your brain constantly, and you're creating a response to something in addition to like actually getting addicted, which is the normal physical response to it. The more, if you repeat something, it becomes a habit, doesn't it? So your brain is going to be like, oh, we're painting, we have to get fucked up. And so you have to reapproach that and reintroduce a new
Or the
way
only
to
way I
do
can do
these
it in this
things.
style is if I'm on this.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
such a false narrative you're telling yourself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
then
But
it's like-
very good point.
Yeah.
Great point, because I had to change a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even with the weight thing, it's just kind of like, well, why don't you try like eating healthier?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, okay, well, what does that look
Exercise,
like?
yeah.
Yeah. But then, it's interesting. And I think I have found that a lot of people in recovery, what's your next addiction? Because once an addict, always an addict. And
I'm that girl though.
We are. And I think, everybody's kind of an addict.
Yeah.
If you're on Instagram, you're a little dopamine rat.
Yes.
Like you are. Like where our
You
society
didn't
now
have to
is,
call me out like that, but that's okay.
our
Rude.
society right now is built for that stuff. And
No,
it's getting more and
100%.
more brutal. It's like we're all addicts, whether you want to think about it that way or not. Like you are.
Yeah. So let me ask you that then, because this is also where our rewiring process differs. So you're not somebody that would be considered sober, but you have rewired, right? And
Yeah.
I'm sober because I don't think I can rewire to that extent. But in AA, of course, we were both considered not sober because I went Cali sober first for just FYI, and I would still be smoking. I have no problems with it. I would still be smoking if I didn't end up abusing it. I'm just that like psychotic. If that like I will do too much of anything. So the best rewiring that I could do was to shift to being addicted to working out. And my brain's like, you need to get high. You need to get high. I was like, oh, you want to get high? I'll get you high, bitch.
Yeah.
I'll get you real high. No, so it's like I can go up to 3 times a day to the gym. But tell me about your end of it, because honestly, I wish I'd heard from people like you when I was trying to get sober 10 years ago, because scaling down is what worked. And if I didn't abuse weed, I would still be smoking weed. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
I didn't do AA. I was in NA.
Right.
And obviously the saying is 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough.
Yeah.
But it's funny, in NA, I remember I got super addicted to Marlboro Reds. Is that not another addiction?
No.
I got nicotine poisoning
Yeah.
when I was, like 15. Smoked too many. I had to go to the hospital. They had to like scrape my lungs. And then also within that, I was young, vulnerable 15-year-old. And then there's the sex addiction aspect of it too. You're meeting all these addicts and you're doing all the things. So it's like, it's fascinating to me.
You were 12, is it 12 stepping? No, 13 stepping people.
That's a new term. I haven't been back in the thing for so long because also, and I think it's the whole kind of like purpose of your podcast as well. It's like the cult aspect of it. And mind you, if it fucking works for you, do it.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Oh, I have a whole segment. Okay, what's like pros and cons? Go.
Wait, let's finish one thought first.
Yeah, I know. Okay, go.
So for me, yes, and even then I still, like after NA, after I had to do all the stuff for like probation that was required of me, it's like I still like went back and got it, and then obviously had my own little path of getting out of it. Then went hardcore on the other end, extreme yogi, extreme vegan, like to a very unhealthy extent.
Right.
And then there was a certain point where I was just eating salad every day, and I'm like, bitch, you're gonna fucking resent salad so bad one day. And like finally, like one day, it's just like eating the donut, whatever it might be. But for me, I think I've always been, what's the right word? I have a lot of pride, and I've always had a lot of pressure, mostly from my family, to be smart.
Okay.
I come from a middle class family and stuff, but we very much so pride ourselves on our wit and our intelligence. And because of that, I sincerely love my brain.
I say that all the time.
I love my brain a lot.
Yeah.
I love the world that is in.
Yeah, I love my brain.
Same here.
Yeah.
And it's like not even, it's like I don't even look at drugs in a way of like, oh, save your brain, which, you should. I should also wear a helmet while going to
No,
skate
it's
park.
relevant to me. I hated getting stupid.
Same here.
It hurt me
And
so bad.
so because of that, I like to have control of my brain. I like to have control of my thoughts. And it's like I have abused every drug to the point of a lack of control.
Right.
And there's a certain point where it's just like, I do not like this. I don't like not having the lack of control around all the things. But I do truly believe it's like, you could either go the extreme Buddhist route, the extreme meditation route, all that stuff, and like reach that path of nirvana in that way. But I also love the use of, right now it's like I'm drinking this is a pick-me-up, you know? Like, this is technically, it's not a drug, but it's like caffeine kind of is a drug. But it's everything in moderation. I know that's like, for a lot of people, way easier said than done.
Yeah.
So for me, it's also the purposeful. It's like you have to have so much mindfulness around it, and you also, for me, I have to constantly remind myself of the feeling of going over the edge. What does that feel like? I don't like that version of myself at all. I don't want to be that person. So it's like I'd rather just have a slightly heightened whatever version of myself within that. It's like I don't do anything by myself, mind you. It's like it's purely in like
what are the
so
rules, I guess, in this version of recovery, and how would you?
I wouldn't even say it's rules. It's like, again, I look at everything purposefully. So it's like if I'm going to drink, it's usually because I'm probably having a little bit of social anxiety. I don't have that by myself, so I have no need to drink alone.
Right. So you just don't drink alone.
No.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like there's a purpose tied to it.
Is there any? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Is there any part? Okay. So somebody that is, me. If I heard this and I wasn't entirely sure that I'm wanting to be sober, I would see this as permission to keep drinking and to keep. So what would we? I don't even know what we would say, but what would we say to somebody like that in terms of, I guess, be mindful of if you're actually even what kind of rewiring you need to do, right? Are you a person that can do what you are doing? Or are you like me where you're like, I got to cut it all off?
Yeah. I am a big analyst. I'm literally paid for it. I'm a big analyst. So, and also to my own fault of analyzing myself. But as my grandma says, and if anyone takes anything from this, do not overanalyze your life to the point that you forget to live it.
Fair.
It's insane
well put.
how much we all think about ourselves.
Just want to get it right, Paige.
But so for me, I also was analyzing at a certain point. Actually, it was at a certain point in rehab when I was supposed to graduate, but I was still smoking weed the whole time. And I didn't know that we were going to get drug tested on the last day. It was an outpatient rehab. And they loved me so much. They're like, we're just waiting for THC to come up negative. And I'm like, sorry, ladies,
but
it's
won't.
not going to. But then they're like, why? And I was like, well, all my friends do it. And they're like, sweetie, you're not strong enough then to be around these friends. Like, you don't know how to say no. And it was another moment of realizing it's like, oh my God, am I only friends with these people because of weed? But even then, it was interesting when I started to say no. The outrage coming from people when they're like, hey, yeah, like smoke a bong with. I'm like, no, and stuff. And they're just like, I don't even know you anymore.
One.
And I'm like, wait, we could still hang out.
Yeah.
Or it's like when you see people that are super drunk and they want you to get drunk to get on their level and almost bring you down with them. It's like, I love saying no.
Yeah.
Just like, no, I don't need to.
They get so angry and flustered, and it's so interesting because you can see them feeling more self-conscious about their own,
decisions.
Yeah. And I was like, I've said nothing about your drinking. You were very concerned with mine, though.
Yes.
Or lack of drinking.
So that's what helps me in those situations is like I started again to realize really how much of the outside pressures. It's like once you can kind of get control of that. And it's like, and hopefully hang around people that don't fucking talk shit to you for saying no or don't try to pressure you for whatever reason. It's like, again, you are an amalgamation of the people that you hang out with. So
very true. So I guess the lesson would be, are you capable of being around people that do drink, and can you say no? I can for sure now. I couldn't at first. I isolated. That's why I isolated, actually.
Too hard.
Well, I just didn't trust myself. If anything, to be completely honest, I was probably the person that would end up getting everyone to take it too far. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm that girl. I'm a sleeper. I'm telling you, I'm the sleeper. You guys think I'm not. Yeah, I'm not that bad, but I'm so bad. Like it's So I have chaos in me for sure. That you just have to get it rolling, and we might end up in Berlin. We don't know. But so isolating was the trick for me, and then eventually making peace with that. I don't know if I can do this casually. I don't know. I can't do it casually, actually. And that was the realization I had that just made it, I guess, easier at some point to either, in order to improve my life, I had to make peace with that. because I was so very attached to drinking. It was a crutch for everything. And so, the rewiring was very detailed. Like you say, don't overanalyze, but I really had to. I was so locked out of myself.
Sure.
So I didn't know why things were triggering, because I hid behind drinking for so long that I didn't know what impulses were informing, like why I was getting certain signals to behave a certain way to certain situations.
And in which case, okay, now that we're in this new era, God, I can't imagine what it would have been like when I was younger.
Why?
Fucking chat GPT, my guy. My lady. Chat GPT some days, and I think this is so important for anybody. Again, if you're feeling a certain way and then you're just like, well, I guess that's the reason I'm going to fucking like smoke a bong load or do crack cocaine or whatever the fuck you might want to do. I use ChatGPT because I'll be having an anxiety attack about something. And like I say this all the time, it's like zoom out. Like zoom out. What is this really stemming from? But sometimes you're so caught up in your feelings and your emotions that you can't see past it. So I'll use ChatGPT to kind of like, and I'll lay out as much as I can and just be like, ask me questions so that I can get to the source of what this is really from. Because most people think that, they just drown out the problem, but the problem's still there tomorrow. So it's like the quicker that you can get to the source from your anxiety or whatever, again, you use drugs or alcohol or any of these things to like mask this feeling of anxiety or pain or whatever. It's like, I love getting to the root of it, because then there's this like semblance of like, oh,
a relief.
Either
that you
I do have control
yourself.
of this to keep moving through, or I don't have control of this at all. And so I just kind of got to give it up.
No, I love that you said. I have yet to use ChatGPT, by the way.
I call it my boyfriend.
Oh, shit. Did you hear about the lady that is in a relationship with her?
I totally fucking believe it.
She's like, I understand. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left, so I want to cover
fast.
Really, let's see. Okay, so AANA, pros and cons for people that are considering it. So my experience has been, the first thing I'll say is that they're just a bunch of sick people. I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's, at least they know that they are. And so definitely don't mean it in a bad way, but I'm saying you have to expect personality clashes and judgment and all that stuff. I for sure started out swinging in AA. Like, I had so much confrontation with people, but I also am confrontational. And that's something I had to learn also, to kind of chill out. Like, I don't need to hijack the room. I don't need to dominate everything. There's a lot of lessons that are learned in that. So I have a sponsor. I don't think you do, right? Exactly. So there's totally different approaches, and I just want you guys to hear that and see what's for you. But okay, so how would you handle, how long have you been in recovery, would you say?
From crystal meth? Somebody asked me this the other day and I had to rack my brain, like 16 years?
Yeah, cool. Yeah. 16 years. So how would you handle like a high stress environment? Like, I call my sponsor, I'm only 2 years in, but I call my sponsor, or at times if I feel like there's going to be a lot of alcohol or party favors or something, even though I feel completely stable in my sobriety, I will take a sober companion with me. Like, I had this art project that was being filmed, and I'd worked with them before, and I knew that how they get down. And I was like, it's late hours. I don't know. I didn't want to be by myself there. And so I had a sober companion. So how would you handle that as somebody who's not in the program, but you are actively in recovery?
Yeah.
And still sometimes drink and...
Yeah, I guess there's part of me that feels a little... But I do have one scenario as of late where this was relevant to me. So I haven't been able to perform for a long time. I'm a fucking corporate girly now.
Sell out.
But I went... that's how I feel. But
like, wow,
me, everybody at the office, they're just like, bye, Paige, I'm always like this. And I'm like, tomorrow. Like,
let them know you're a rebel.
Figure, but it's fine. I get paid to do cool stuff. So one of my favorite music festivals is Lightning in a Bottle. And I got to go this past year. I used to perform there a lot. That stage, I grew up a lot on that stage. And I brought a wizard costume just in case, because I heard that they cut all the funding to the character actors
I need to see that.
And I, talked to one of my friends, and she's like, would you like to judge the talent show as a wizard? And I was like, awesome. So I went in the dressing room, and I was sitting there in the sun because I was there too early, like just dressed like a wizard.
Yeah.
But I remember I didn't there's this big part of me that was just kind of like, man, I haven't been on stage for a long time. Like, I could really use like a shot or something right now, just like take the edge off. And I was like, but I don't have anything, and I'm kind of stuck in this hot corner dressed as a wizard. Yeah. So for me, it's like, talk about rewiring. It's like, you just got to get to a point
where you have to have those internal talks with yourself. Like, one thing, sure, make your dad proud, make your job proud, make your girlfriend proud, but really, really focus on making yourself proud. Really. Like, that's a whole different feeling. That also spreads into so much more in your life. If you make yourself proud, you can just give so much more to everybody else. So for this in particular, I just had to remember, like, the high that I actually get just on stage and being on stage and, like, engaging with the audience, or, like, just doing straight up improv, just doing silly ass shit.
Yeah.
So I just had to click in my head of just kind of like, you don't have anything, but also you haven't done improv in a while. You haven't been on stage in a while. Why don't, instead of, like, trying to, like, I don't know, even take a shot and kind of alter your chemistry, why don't you just try to, like, this is a fantastic, like, challenge right now to just do it. Just go do it, even though you haven't done it in a while, and see what happens. And I had so much fucking fun.
Oh,
it was so, and I was like, just do less. Just, like, sit and be present and listen and respond. You're dressed like a wizard.
You thought it through. I like it.
You thought it through.
I think I'm hearing myself say, well, what if I don't know how to do that? What if I don't love myself enough to make anybody or myself proud? So I'm thinking from that angle, but, like, that's where you have to kind of figure out which one you are. And if you are in that position where when you know that you don't need to take the shot, if you're somebody who's going to practice recovery like Paige is, then that's a moment where she realized that she didn't need to take a drink because she can think it through.
The journey to, and I think it really does start, again, make yourself proud, but that also comes with a really pure sense of, like, loving yourself. It took me a long, long, long time to really love myself. And it really does.
I'm still working on it.
It really does make all the difference. Like, I'm to a certain point now in my age in my life where I'm fucking like, I really, like, I love myself to a different extent, for better or for worse. And it's like that even the hard days when I want to beat myself up, it's just like, it just doesn't affect me as much anymore. And it's like just staying on the path of, just continue. It's like, what small thing can I do to make myself proud today? It's like, I don't give a shit that my hair might look bad, whatever it might be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's a long journey for a lot of people. And there's some people that never reach it. And those are the people that are like still on the streets and, like, still doing all that stuff. It's like they just don't have that. So it's like, if you have a sponsor and stuff like that is another good reflection time of, like, this person can reflect back to you. Like, and I'm very, very, very lucky that I have people that love me so much and reflect back to me so much and keep me in check so much. Like I have, like, a little village of, like, sponsors to some extent that will, like, always keep me in check with all that stuff.
That's huge. And this is, I guess, where I'll say, like, if you don't have that, A can be your village, and that's a pro for that. But definitely keep in mind that it's a lot of personalities, and if you have a village, that's true. I have to say a really positive thing. When I quit weed, my body punished me so severely. I was incredibly sick for a week. I was sweating through the bed. I was nauseous, anxiety, forget it. I've never experienced anything like it. I couldn't eat. And different members of AA brought me food, and they would take me out. And so that was special. It was really cool. Even, like, the ones I beef with, they're like, fuck you, but you good? I was like, no, same.
Here's
and
a cupcake.
I'm fine. No, like, recovery, bitch. I was like, So, if you don't have that, that's a good place to go. But definitely, it's not a walk in the park. We're all crazy there also. I have to wrap up. What's the last thing I wanted to say here? I remember thinking, because I always say, this is the podcast I wish was there for me. So for the me's out there, I guess you're probably asking, what do I do? Immediately, what do I do? I can't tell you what to do, but I'll tell you what I did do, which is that as soon as I decided that I was going to stop, I made a schedule. There was no idle time for me. There's no, like, space to, what do I do? If you ran out of things in your to-do list, on mine was, for example, like, I needed a tutor to get back into piano. I needed to figure out if what I was going to do with all this writing that I'd done, and I'd started to write. So I got in touch with an editor. But there's a to-do list, and what's your to-do list is the things that you've neglected and that you probably thought it was too late to pursue. Maybe it's not. So maybe make a list of that. But when you run out of things to do on that to-do list, repeat something. And mine was the gym. So, but there was no free time. until the moment that I went to bed because I needed that kind of control.
Yeah.
I needed to control myself that much. So it's I wish I could tell you something easier than that. It's not. It's a very lonely thing to get into recovery, I think.
Yeah.
And nobody can follow you into your head. So only you can tell people how to help you. And I hope we've been helpful today. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Yeah, of course.
You're
This was
awesome.
fun. Likewise.
Yeah. And scene. I'm just kidding. I smell disgusting. It's me, not you.
No, it's not you.
I have to go change, and I bet my next.